Hello and welcome back to Boxing News TV and Boxing Social in association with Betfred. My name is Aymz and I'm joined by British boxing royalty, Ricky Hatton. Ricky, how's life?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, looking forward to the fights tomorrow. Looks a good card. Got one of my lads on the undercard, McGinty. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're in Coventry on a McGinty card, and you've, like you mentioned there, you've got one of your talents on the card, a young, rising Irish star in the form of Brett McGinty. From the people who I speak to who know about Brett, they've got a lot of faith in him to get up there in the sport. What is it you see in him on a day-to-day basis that gives you a lot of faith in that he also will, from your point of view, get to the top echelons of the sport? Well,
he wants it bad. He's dedicated. He's got the right attitude. He's got a very exciting TV style, which I think fans are going to love. And unusually, he has a pro style, a professional fighting style, if you like, which in the amateurs he won an abundance of Irish national titles, multi-nation titles. He got a Commonwealth Youth gold medal. And normally you don't get that many amateur baubles unless with a professional style, if you like. So that shows you he's got that, although his style is to come forward, attack and go for the body, very, very aggressive. You don't have a pedigree in the amateur game like he's got if you haven't got that little bit of magic dust on you. That's what I like to call it, when they've got that little bit of something special. And obviously he's a long way off. He needs to tick a lot of boxes along the way as he goes, but I think over a period of time, I think he has a chance of getting to the top.
A lot of people who, so far in Brett's career, they've made that comparison, or made that, the comparison of his style and your style being very similar. Do you see that? Do you see a lot of yourself in Brett?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, the fact that, I was an attacking fighter, but I had a lot more ability than I showed sometimes because I would like to get too involved. And Brett likes to get a little bit too involved sometimes. But the thing is, it's all about learning. This is his apprenticeship. You're going to have a few little speed bumps along the way. He's only had one professional fight, and I tell you what, he ticked more boxes in his first fight than, so many positives to come out of his first fight. I was shocked. I knew he had a great attitude, but he just personified that in his debut. And just the things we've been working on is just a little bit more subtle in your attacking. You can be aggressive, but just a little bit more safety first in it. Jab as you go in, move your head a little bit first. For every second of every round, you've got to stay that little bit switched on so you don't get caught with a big swing. But that's what Brett's learning. That's what he's working on. But that was always the case for all of us when we was at this stage. You know what I mean? You've got to make mistakes in order to learn. And yeah, that's where Brett's at, yeah.
Do you expect to see a lot of people want to, when they've fighters of Irish heritage, they want to get them over to the States and kind of connect with those fans over there? Do you expect to see Brett in the next few years over at the States fighting there?
He's a little bit off that, yep. I think what I'd like him to do in the next 12 months, and I think I speak for Mick Hennessy and his management team, that's, I think he's going to fight again in July. I think so. We'll probably have another 4-rounder in July. And then we'll go back to the 6th round. We had a 6-rounder in his debut. And then if we can get, another 6 round, another 6 round or a couple of 6-rounders towards the end of the year, then in the new year we can start thinking of moving him up to the 8-round level. And then once he's got a couple of 8-round fights under his belt, we'll start looking at titles by then. And I think the difference you'll see in that 12 months, I think will be night and day. You know what I mean? I think he dreams of fighting in his hometown of in Donegal in Ireland, topping the bill. Mick Hennessy has visions of him doing that. So yeah, there's loads of things he wants to do, and I think obviously going to America. I think any Irishman would always want that dream, wouldn't they? But I think it's all in good time, baby steps as we go, and I think he's got the right people behind him in order to advise him.
Another fight I want to talk to you about who's in a similar sort of position to Brett, but a lot closer to home for you, is your son Campbell Hatton. How have you assessed his performance so far in entering the professional ranks?
He struggled in his first fight. I don't think he looked bad as such. He was never in no doubt of winning it, but I think the whole occasion got to him. You know what I mean? I don't think I've ever seen anyone have a build-up like Campbell got, which I feel very, very proud because of the interest that my son got. But he's only had 20 odd amateur fights. He's only 20 years of age. You know what I mean? He's never had a microphone shoved under his mouth before. He's never had a documentary midweek done. He's never been on, you know, morning breakfast shows, you know, before. You know, he's never had a ring entrance done before, and he come out to Blue Moon like I used to do and everything like that. And I think the whole occasion for someone so young and inexperienced, I think it just got to him. He used up a lot of nervous energy, and I think he was disappointed in his debut. I wasn't because I knew the reasons why he performed the way he did, and that's why it was so pleasing. In his second fight, he put all them things right. He was a lot more composed, started showing a lot more what he's got in his armoury, using his jab, a lot more composure and a lot more subtle in his attacks. You know, not too still aggressive, but a little bit more diplomacy as he was going in. And I think the difference from his debut to his second fight was massive, and if he keeps showing improvements like that over the forthcoming fights and over the years, I think we've got half a chance.
Do you think with a fighter like Campbell, because of the name he carries, the legacy that you've established, with that pressure that it builds and the spotlight that he's got, would it serve him better to take the small hall shows and be off of cards and not have that pressure on him, or do you think the spotlight in that was kind of building him towards getting used to that sort of thing?
I think he'll do both, to be honest with you. I mean, it is a big build-up for him, and I'm not complaining about the build-up. I think we had to have that build-up in order to get the ball rolling and get the interest generated in him, and so I'm not complaining about that, not by a long shot. But I think he'll box on all different shows. He'll box all over the world. Eddie's turned around and says he's going to take him to Europe to box on shows. He's boxed at the Manchester Arena, which was my living room practically when I was boxing, wasn't it? He's boxed in Gibraltar. Yeah, I think, listen, the sooner he gets used to there being on them big stage shows, if that's where he wants to be in a few years' time, the sooner he gets used to it and sees it, this is what it's all about, innit? Oh, right, I think it will stand him in good stead. But I mean, sometimes, when I was boxing, I boxed at Madison Square Garden in my second professional fight. I boxed at the Manchester Arena, and then the following week, I go to Widnes Leisure Centre, and you've got to tick all the boxes. You can't all just box on the big shows. He'll box on the big shows. He'll box on the smaller shows. He'll box abroad, and that's the way an apprentice should be. Apprenticeship should be, yeah.
As a father, how do you take to watching him fight? Do you get nerves? Do you enjoy the occasion? How do you take to just watching him?
It is, you get a lot of nerves. It is terrible to watch your son fight, but obviously I'm his manager, and even though Matthew's his trainer, obviously, I'm there to give me advice, to Campbell and to Matthew if he needs it. Matthew's doing a wonderful job, but I mean, I can't give much input if I'm crumbling every 5 minutes and that. So I've got a fight night. I've got a job to do, even though Matthew's his trainer. I still feel I've got a job to do. So I can't be, I can't be bricking it in front of him for there to see. So no, I've got a job to do. So it is very hard, but that's basically what it is. I've got a job to do, and it's putting on the brave face and giving the right advice, for Campbell. And you can't do that if you're a nervous wreck. So it's all about. I'm nervous, but I have no problem in holding it together. Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts on some of the things in the wider boxing scene. I want to start off with a fight that we all thought we'd get to see, undisputed heavyweight clash. It seems to have fallen out. Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. What's your take on the situation there? And us as you being a boxing man, but also a boxing fan, not getting to see that fight next?
Well, I'm sick of hearing it, to be honest with you. I mean, it's been in the making for 5 years, talking about it for 5 years. And then when the COVID came, I thought to myself, we've lost it. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. Ideally, we'd like it at Wembley, wouldn't we, in front of 100,000 fans. But but when they mentioned Saudi Arabia, I thought, well, of course, we'd much rather have it at Wembley. But at least we're getting it. That's what I thought. At least the fight's going to happen. So. But then Wilder's put a spanner in the works that he's won a court case. Where he has to fight him first. So it looks like Tyson will have to fight him. It looks like Joshua might have to fight Usyk, which I mean. I think Tyson beats Wilder again, but what with the punching power of Wilder, you never know. And I think Joshua beats Usyk, but with the tricky style that Usyk has got, they're not an easy fight. So we could still lose it. If one of them loses that fight, he's gone, isn't it? Which is which is a crying shame. You know, I mean, Wilder wants step aside money of 20 million. I don't think he deserves 20 million after his last performance. It's one thing having a rematch clause, but surely that should be based on your performance. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can have a rematch if you perform, but he got absolutely destroyed. It was a mismatch, you know. So why, you know? And then he has the cheek to come and ask for 20 million. Is he taking the piss? I just think it's madness. You know what I mean? But you know, that's for. I mean, I'm not a boxing promoter. You know, that's for the you know, the board and the promoters. You know, what I think to myself, surely, you know, you can have a rematch if you perform and it's an entertaining fight, but not when you get punched from pillar to post.
You've been involved in mega fights, for example, Mayweather, Pacquiao. This was a mega fight in its kind. What do we as boxing fans not know about what goes behind the scenes to make those fights? What don't we see? And what do you think kind of happened here to, you know, for the fight not to happen, apart from the arbitration, of course?
Well, I don't know. It's very. I mean, 9 times out of 10, fighters want the fights. I've no doubt Tyson wants to fight. I've no doubt AJ wants to fight. Then it's always politics, and the politics tends to be when each fighter was a different TV company, each fighter was a different promoter. You know, Tyson's the lineal heavyweight champion, but AJ's got all the belts, all these stuff, you know, so I should get a bigger percentage than him, and this and that, and sometimes agreements can't be made, which is a shame. I think it'd be a crying shame for our sport if this fight isn't made. It'd be the biggest fight in British boxing history, and if for some reason it doesn't happen because of the rematch clauses with Wilder, or because of I think we should hang our head in shame a little bit, you know.
Hand on heart, do you think we will see it in the next couple of years? Do you think we will?
I don't know. I really don't think we will see it, to be honest with you. I think if Joshua fights Usyk, that's a tough fight. Even though Wilder won the last fight easily with that punching power Wilder's got, that's not easy. And all it needs is, because of the last fight, Tyson get a little bit complacent, and he could, you know. So I don't think so. But I mean, in an ideal world, they both fight them fights, they both win them, they fight November time or something like that.
Fury Wilder 3. Let's talk about that a little bit. Wilder's disassociated himself with JD's, and he's brought in Malik Scott. It looks like from the training footage that we've seen that they've put out, Malik Scott, the heavyweight Malik Scott, he's now training with Deontay Wilder. It looks like from the footage we've seen online, the little bits of it, that they're trying to mimic Tyson Fury's style. My question to you is, do you think we can see a Wilder that's rejuvenated and got different strings to his bow that could potentially offset Tyson Fury?
A few different things in his training, a little bit more composure, thinking about his shots. I mean, normally, he was swinging from the back of the room, wasn't he? You know, his shots, but it looks like he's working on things a little bit more composed, so maybe he is. But I mean, having said that, it's very hard to prepare. How do you prepare for Tyson Fury? You know, 1 minute he's orthodox, 1 minute he's southpaw, 1 minute he's stood on your chest battering you, next minute he's laying back rope-a-doping. You know, I mean, it's so hard. But I think, I mean, if one thing that he is probably doing right, Wilder, is trying to, you know, be a little bit more composed, because if you're gonna catch Tyson, you're gonna catch Tyson with a straight one, or a nice short one, or a composed one. You're not gonna get Tyson with one of them ones, are you? You know what I mean? So he's probably going on about the right thing, but I still think it's a big ask for him to beat Tyson.
You've seen Tyson firsthand in the first fight. You fight one way, and a lot of people thought he won the first fight. We've seen Tyson the second way around fight a different way, and he won that one conclusively. How do you think the third fight would go?
It's very hard to say. I think Tyson will probably go out in the first round and just have a bit more of a look at him this time, because I mean, obviously, you know, Wilder will go away and prepare differently, won't he? You know, so I think he'd be foolish to think, oh, I'll just go out there and do the same again. You know, Tyson's a thinking man. He's a clever fighter. You know, he's not stupid. He'll go out there, and I think he'll just take the fight from there. If he feels that he's getting on top, he's finding the target easy enough, I think he'll put his foot down. But I think Tyson has a clever enough boxing brain to know that, you know, what he did last time, there's no guarantee he'll do it again. So I think he'll just see how he'll take the fight, see how it goes in the early rounds.
Moving on to an undisputed clash that we are going to get tomorrow, Josh Taylor versus Jose Ramirez. Brilliant fight in the offing. Just your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, 50-50 fight, I think. They both got a common opponent. I think Taylor beat him on a unanimous. Ramirez beat him on a split. Very similar records, do you know what I mean? But I think I'd go with Josh Taylor, to be honest with you. I think he'll be able to outbox Ramirez in the early rounds. And even though he's a smooth boxer, Josh Taylor, skillful, very skillful. He's certainly no wet lettuce, you know what I mean? He when it comes to the trenches, he'll certainly be able to have it out as well, which I think he'll have the early rounds. I think down the home straight, Ramirez will come on, but I think Josh Taylor will have the guts to dig in, drag it out, and edge it and get his nose over the finishing line, yeah.
We talked about the heavyweights earlier, just a short moment ago. Daniel Dubois is going to be back in the ring after an eye injury. How do you expect he'll return, having come back from what was a tough fight against Joe Joyce, and now he's back in for the WBA interim title, I believe it is?
It's very hard to say, to be honest. Only Daniel knows how serious the injury was. I mean, you can't get more serious injury, than Kell Brook had one, didn't he, against Golovkin. Billy Joe Saunders had one recently against Canelo. I couldn't think of a worse injury than boxing, than having an injury next to your eye socket, But I mean, Daniel will know the reasons for why he had to pull the fight. You know what I mean? At the time, he'll know. Only him would have spoke to the doctors, and the doctors have filled him in with a position with his eye. Only Daniel will know this, and hopefully he's a fantastic addition to the heavyweight division. One of the young guns coming up. We've got Tyson at the top and AJ, and we've got the conveyor belt coming through, which is Daniel. We want to be part of that, so it'll be interesting to just see what happens. You know what I mean? It's a very, very serious injury, but I mean, Daniel will be having the right advice from the right doctors, and hopefully he'll be able to go on and move on with his career.
A couple more things from myself. Jake Paul, it seems, has signed a deal to have shows broadcast on ESPN and Showtime. This is a YouTuber who's come from the YouTube world, who's brought up a lot of support and a lot of followers and brought a lot of eyes into the boxing world. Just what are your thoughts on someone like Jake Paul, who's not strictly a boxer, getting that spotlight?
I've not really seen him box that much. The only thing I can see is he looks a dick. But I mean, he might. I've not really seen it. I've seen little clips of him, but I can't really comment on how good his boxing skills. I just think it's incredible how a YouTuber with only a handful of fights can fight the greatest fighter the world's ever seen. Unbelievable. Surely money's got to be more important than, he's got enough money. I think he's tarnishing his legacy. Do you know what I mean? And then, I don't know. Listen, the money makes the world turn round, but the thing is, for someone who was fighting the fans was something that meant so much to me. Yeah. Anyone who calls himself Money Mayweather, he's not bothered about the fans, and he's not, I just think the entertainment business has took over the boxing business, now. To be honest with you, it doesn't matter. More people will watch that fight than probably than the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, because he's a YouTuber, and he's got 70 million followers or stuff like that. I just think boxing, a few years ago we were complaining there was only too many weight divisions and there was too many belts and there's too many. Now we've got catch weights, mixed sports, YouTubers versus boxers, UFC versus boxers. I don't know. If they can get the money, I suppose who can blame them? But surely Floyd's got enough.
Is it weird for you, or do you sort of take it personally, since because that's a fight that you fought against Floyd Mayweather, and now, however many years down the line, you're seeing the same fighter take on an exhibition against Logan Paul. Do you kind of get annoyed when you see that, because that's a fighter that you fought?
Listen, at the end of the day, I like to think I earned my shot at Floyd. I beat Kostya, and then I unified the belts, won the WBA title, then I moved up a weight, won the WBA welterweight title, then I moved back down, won the IBF light welterweight title, then I knocked out another guy called Jose Luis Castillo. I'd like to think, because of the names that I'd beat, I deserved the shot to fight Floyd Mayweather. He's got the shot because he's got 72 million fucking followers. There's a difference. You know what I mean? That's what I can't get my head round. But I mean, hey, good luck to them all.
What does it say about the sport, the position it's in now?
Well, I mean, I think the sport, there's a lot of good fights being made, you know what I mean, and that. But I think sometimes this just takes away from that.
Final thing I want to get your thoughts on is the confirmed but unconfirmed position with Eddie Hearn moving from Sky Sports to DAZN. I just want to know what you think Sky Sports will do, and do you want them to kind of stay in the sport and still kind of support boxing?
I don't really. I mean, I've only found out that was actually a possibility this week, so I can't really comment because I don't know too much. I mean, if that does prove to be the case, I hope Sky Sports still stay in boxing because they've been good to boxing over the years. They put on some of the biggest exhibitions and fights that we've ever seen in this country. So whatever happens, I hope they stay in boxing. Yeah.
Do you have an expectation of who might take over? And at one point you were promoting fights yourself. Would you look to maybe promote as well?
I don't really do promoting much now, to be honest with you. I've had my go at it and I did really well at it. I had good times with Sky. I mean, back in the day, I had Scott Quigg, Anthony Crawler, Martin Murray. I had all of them, to be honest with you. But now I'm just concentrating on the training side of things. But I don't know, just watch this space. It would be a shame after what Sky's done in boxing to see them disappear. But I mean, more channels. You got the Zone, haven't you? And you've got Sky. You've got Channel 5. You've got BT Sports. I mean, competition's got to be good for our sport.
Final thing I want to get from you, Ricky, is let's take this back to Brett, who's you're going to be in the corner of on Saturday. What can we expect to see from Brett on Saturday night?
Oh, just a good performance. To be honest with you, he's learning every day. You know what I mean. He had a great professional debut. A couple of speed bumps along the way. He fought a far bigger opponent than him, which took a chance with. And he got away with it, but he won the fight quite comfortably. Did 6 rounds under his belt. But yeah, he had to go into the trenches a little bit, for his debut. And even though he won it comfortably, I liked him to show a little bit more of what he's got in his armoury because he's not just a punching machine that goes to war. He's got a lot more to his repertoire, and I think he'll show a lot Saturday night.
Looking forward to seeing Brett on Saturday night. Thank you for speaking to Boxing UC and Boxing Social. Thank you so much, Ricky.